Oxford University, Bodleian Library, May 2019, 11:30 p.m. Finals week. The library was packed. Hundreds of students buried in books, laptops, empty coffee cups. Stress hung thick in the air. Sarah Mitchell, 21, a third-year English literature student, sat in the quietest corner, wiping her tears. Her notebook lay open before her, pages crumpled, scribbled, ripped. The wreckage of what was supposed to be her creative writing final. Professor Williams had already returned it 3 times. No character development. Dialogue forced, theme unclear. Tomorrow was her last chance, and she still had nothing. A cart rolled closer, the soft squeak of its wheels. Margaret, everyone knew her by that name, 75, gray-haired, weary but kind-faced. She had worked nights at the library for a decade. Students liked her, quiet, gentle, sometimes offering them tea. Margaret stopped. Emptying the trash bin next to Sarah, she noticed the girl's tears. "What's the matter, dear?" Her voice was soft, motherly. Sarah looked up, eyes red. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You're not bothering me. Tell me," Sarah sighed. "It's my creative writing final. I want to be a writer, but I'm hopeless. My professor's right. I can't write." Margaret's eyes lit up. "May I?" Sarah hesitated. Show her work to a janitor? But there was such sincerity in the woman's gaze. She handed over the notebook. Margaret read. First page, second, third. 10 minutes passed. Her face remained unreadable. Sarah grew tense. Finally, Margaret looked up. "Do you know what your problem is?" Sarah blinked. "What?" "You're trying to write like someone else. Paragraph 2, Woolf. Paragraph 5, Hemingway. Paragraph 10, Morrison. But where's Sarah?" Sarah froze. That analysis. How could a janitor? Margaret stood. From her apron pocket, she pulled out an old battered book. Hardcover, yellowed pages, faded cover. The Silent Symphony. E. Hartley. Sarah's breath caught. Her hands trembled. This book, a modern literary masterpiece, winner of the 1987 Nobel Prize in Literature. Its author, Eleanor Hartley, had disappeared 30 years ago. She hadn't even claimed her award. No one knew what had become of her. "You?" Sarah's voice shook. "You're Eleanor Hartley?" The woman nodded, a weary smile. "I'm just Margaret now." Sarah's world tilted. Eleanor Hartley, living legend, vanished genius, and for 10 years she'd been working as a cleaner at Oxford. "But why?" Sarah stammered. "The Nobel. Your books. The world's been searching for you." Eleanor, Margaret, sat down, running her hand over the book's cover. "Let me tell you a story," she said. 30 years ago, Stockholm, the Nobel ceremony. I was about to walk on stage, my speech ready, and then I realized my words were gone. Sarah frowned. Gone. Not writer's block. Something deeper. Everything I wrote felt false. My characters strangers to me. My stories weren't mine anymore. I was writing for prizes, critics, readers, not for myself. She paused. That night I fled Stockholm, changed my name, became Margaret, came here, why the library? To stay close to words, without writing, to watch, to listen, to see young writers, your hopes, your fears. Like yours, Sarah's tears welled up again. And all this time, no one knows? The head librarian knows. An old friend. He kept my secret. Eleanor rose, turned to Sarah's notebook. "Now listen," she said. "I'll teach you the secret of writing." She picked up a pen and began crossing out lines, rewriting, scribbling notes. "See, here you tried to be Woolf, but you're not Virginia. You're Sarah, 21, from Manchester. You lost your father when you were 10, Sarah gasped. "How do you—" "It's in your writing. Everything you hide bleeds through. Your protagonist without a father? Coincidence?" Eleanor kept writing, leaving notes in the margins. This is your story. A girl searching for her father. Every character, every scene. Shaped by that loss, Sarah broke down in tears. Eleanor was right. Every story she'd ever written had a missing father. She hadn't even realized it. But it's too personal, Sarah whispered. All good literature is personal, Eleanor said. My Nobel book? It was about my mother's death. 400 pages. Just that. Hours passed. Together they worked. Eleanor guiding, Sarah writing. The real Sarah. Unmasked, unfiltered. By 3 a.m., the draft was done. Sarah read it aloud. She could hardly believe it. This was good. No, brilliant. Thank you, she whispered. How can I ever repay you? Eleanor stood, gripping her cart. You don't have to. But I ask one thing, anything. Tell no one who I am, where I am. Sarah hesitated. But the world's been searching. Your fans, they love Eleanor Hartley. I'm not her anymore. I'm Margaret, and I'm happy. What about writing? Do you still? Eleanor smiled, a secretive smile. Every night, in the janitor's closet. 10 years now. What are you writing? My last book. My true last book. To be published after my death. Sarah's breath caught. 10 years. A book that long. 3,000 pages so far. Maybe 4. Eleanor pushed the cart away, paused. Sarah? Yes? Write your father. His loss, his absence, his beauty. That's your voice. And she vanished into the dark aisles. Next day, Professor Williams' office. Professor Williams, stern, critical, one of Oxford's toughest. He read Sarah's new story. His face shifted, confusion, surprise, awe. By the end, his eyes shone. Sarah, he said softly, this is extraordinary. How did you transform in 24 hours? Sarah smiled faintly. Someone taught me to find my own voice. Who? Just a friend. Williams read it again. This is professional level. No, publishable. Truly, in 20 years of teaching, I've never seen such a leap. This is almost Hartley level. Sarah bit back a smile. 2 weeks later, Sarah got an A+. More importantly, her story, The Lost Father, was published in the University Journal. That night she returned to the library to find Margaret. She found her in the closet, writing. Hello, Sarah said. Eleanor looked up, smiled. Hello, I heard about your success. Congratulations. Because of you. No, because of you. I only showed the way. Sarah sat. Can I ask you something? Ask. Why did you really leave? The Nobel, the fame. Eleanor set down her pen, stared out the window. One night, in Tokyo, a book signing. Thousands of people. 6 hours of autographs. A woman came, old. She handed me my book, said, "This saved my life. After my daughter died, it gave me a reason to live." Eleanor's voice faltered. And I couldn't even remember writing that passage. I'd written it automatically, to sell. And for her, it was life itself. Sarah waited. That night, I realized the bond between me and my work had snapped. I had become a brand, a factory, one book every year, every book a bestseller. Weren't you happy? I wasn't unhappy, but I wasn't me. I was a ghost haunting my own stories. She looked down at the pages before her. But now, I write here, in secret, for no one, for nothing, just to write. What about? A cleaner, night shifts, watching students, listening to their stories, sometimes helping them. Sarah's eyes filled. Am I in it too? Chapter 47, The Girl Searching for Her Father. 1 year later, Sarah graduated, first-class honors. Her debut novel found a publisher. On graduation night, she returned to the library one last time to see Eleanor. But in the closet, only a letter waited. her name written on the envelope. Inside, "Dear Sarah, if you're reading this, I've gone. Don't worry, I'm not dead, just elsewhere. Another name, another place. I stayed here 10 years. You were my last student, my best. I finished my book, 4,137 pages, left it with my lawyer, to be published 10 years after my death. Title, The Night Cleaner. It's dedicated to you and to all my lost students. Remember, everyone has a story. Often the quietest souls carry the loudest tales. Write, Sarah. Always write. But write yourself. With love, Margaret, Eleanor. P.S. I left my Nobel medal with the librarian to be donated to the library. May it inspire young writers." Sarah pressed the letter to her chest, weeping. 10 years later, Sarah Mitchell, now a celebrated author, 5 novels, 2 awards, headlines, Eleanor Hartley, dead at 85, Scotland. A week later, Eleanor Hartley's final book released. The Night Cleaner, 4,137 pages, the longest novel in literary history. Sarah held the first copy. The dedication page. To Sarah Mitchell, and to all those students who wept at night in the library, struggling, hoping, writing, your stories matter. She turned to chapter 47, her own story, but through Eleanor's pen, more beautiful, more profound, more true. The last line read, and the young girl realized, sometimes the greatest teachers come in the most unexpected forms. Sometimes they wear a cleaner's uniform, but always, always, they touch the heart. Sarah closed the book, looked out at Oxford. Night was falling. The library lights glowed. Somewhere in some other library, perhaps an old woman was pushing a cart, and maybe, just maybe, she would find another weeping student. Because stories never end. They only begin anew. The Times. The Night Cleaner is a modern masterpiece. Eleanor Hartley's final message. Everyone carries a writer within. All it takes is the right cleaner to uncover it. The book was translated into 50 languages, film rights sold. But Sarah knew no film could ever capture that night in the library. Eleanor Hartley, Nobel laureate, cleaner Margaret, and most of all, teacher forever.